Morning everyone, welcome back and happy Friday. It's the end of the week. Monogram's B-26. I've now got a completed airframe, as you can see here. I'll put it up to the camera so you can see all around this thing. This video shows just how I got to this point really, and some builds on some of the ideas for construction that I introduced in the previous 2 or 3 videos that I've done on this model. Nothing grandiose, nothing too spectacular, just simple ideas that I hope will translate onto this model if you want to build this thing, but also any old kit if you want to build any of the ancient sort of kits that we've got lying around in lots. They are worth building. I know a lot of people will say, well, there's a new car, why are you bothering with this thing? I kind of like it, as I've mentioned many times before. And once I get to this point, I feel like I've achieved something, if only not losing my mind while I've been filling and sanding. As you can see from this thing, there's an awful lot of sanding around the wing roots, which is why it looks rather unlovely with all of the primer removed. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you find it useful, and that the ideas that I've introduced, probably that many people already know, but some of the ideas that I've introduced in the video will be useful for your own project. So without further ado, shall we take a look at what I've done on this model, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's take a look. There's no getting away from it. This is a bit of a rush job, I have to say, because it's for work and I haven't really got a lot of time to finish this model off. I've made a lot of progress over the last week. So as you can see here, the wings are all now sorted out, as is the fuselage and the cockpit. Last week we took a look at some ideas as to how to bring the engine nacelles together, and issues that they have with fit in this kit. I think it's a fairly notorious kit to put together, and the fit of the engine nacelles, certainly into the underside of the wings, is quite a problematic area. However, there are workarounds, and I showed you some of those last week. Well, now you can see that the engine nacelles are actually in place on both wings. You can see those here. So we've now got essentially completed main planes. What I did in the end was to glue the nacelles together as I showed you last week, and then glue them underneath the wings in the sequence again that I showed. I used spacers inside the engine nacelles as well, cut from small sections of sprue, to force the walls of those engine nacelles out against the trough on the underside of each of the wings, and that further closed down those gaps. So that worked really well. Once they were in place, once these nacelles were in place, I then filled along what was in the end quite small gaps running around here and also around this cone at the back, and I used super glue mixed with talcum powder to do that. Nice and easy, and once it was all sorted out and dry, I could sand it down. I've sprayed it, as you can see here. This is sprayed with just a neutral grey colour from Tamiya. It just showed off some of the flaws that were in there, that then I could rework those areas, refill them again, sand them smooth. So now I have a fairly smooth wing to engine blend, which will work nicely once I fit these wings into place against the side of the fuselage. It was actually a lot less work than I thought it was going to be. I was really kind of worried about doing this, and I thought it would be a lot of work to try and put it all together, but in the end I don't think it was that much work. It was certainly no more difficult than working on any of the Century series kits. It just needed a little bit of thought. It's just one of those, really. These are the engine cowlings. Obviously 2 of these. These are split into 3 parts. There's a main cowling section, and then these vents on the upper surface of each of the cowling are split into 2. They're 2 parts. They don't fit well at all. So again, these needed to be glued into place and then filled with super glue and talc running along this edge here, then the middle part here and this lower edge here. I've let these set for the last couple of days, and I can now see as they've dried out there are some ghost seams running along here, and also you can actually see that here. I think it's shown that up, so that'll need to be re-sanded as well, re-smoothed out. That one doesn't look too bad, but that one's definitely going to need some additional work. These fit kind of nicely into place, and you can see that that's how they complete the main engine nacelle. There is a gap there, you can see that. So what I'll do is, I won't fill that. What I'll try and do is I'll try and smooth over this edge here. Again, this is another one of those edges on the kit that isn't completely 90 degrees. So once this fits into place against it, there's a slightly fouled fit. I also think that this area under here could probably be reamed out slightly so that it forces that part against the front edge of the nacelle a bit more tightly. I don't think that's insurmountable. I think that'll work okay. And then once done, these wings slide onto these spars, and you can see how that fits, and we start to get the shape of the Marauder coming to the fore. It's really nice. Really pleased with that. So that was the tough bit, really, and it's kind of out of the way, so I'm happy with that, and it means that this model can move on and we can get somewhere with it. Here the fuselage has been dry fit together, just to allow these parts here to align inside the bay. So what I'll do, if I take that away, it gives you, I can show you how the interior of this kit works. This is the bomb bay here. There isn't a huge amount of detail. I've still got to put the roof of the bay into place. It slots in from behind. On the kit, when you first buy it, the roof of that bay is actually moulded as part of one of the wings. But in order to simplify the fitting of the wings, and also to be able to work these surfaces away and the surfaces of the adjoining mating surface on this wing here, to allow that to slide in, this part here, that was the section that had the roof fitted against it. I removed it, and then I'll just slot it in and glue it into place. So that's the bomb bay. You can see here, I was reading around about this aircraft, and some of the things that I read seem to suggest that various areas on inside the Marauder, different colours. Some of them were a very pale yellowy interior green colour. Some of them were dark green. They were out with black, and that the bomb bay was suggested was neutral grey. So that's how I've painted mine. If that's incorrect, it's a bit late now, I'm afraid. But it's quite a nice contrast to the rest of the green. Also, I've completed the cockpit. You can see that here. The cockpit in the kit is okay, I think, at best. If I show you that, if I bring it up to the camera, you can kind of see it. It's fairly passable. It's not as good as some of the later cockpits that Monogram were creating, but with a little bit of work, and in this case, the addition of some Edward parts that have allowed me to detail the instrument panel, and also some of the sidewall detail here. It's created something that I think is quite attractive. I'm not completely convinced by my colour choices here. I think some of the details are perhaps in colours that aren't 100% accurate, but it passes muster for me, and I think it'll look nice enough when it's in the model and complete. And you can see that once you slide the fuselage halves together, you can't actually see a huge amount in there anyway. And once you've got the glazing over there and also the glazed nose cap, it'll cover quite a lot of that, and all you'll really see then is the seats. So you can see that. So far it's coming together okay. It is definitely one of those models that needs a little bit of thought to try and iron out some of those issues that is definitely part of its charm, should we say. But I think that if you can iron those out, it does go together okay, and it certainly looks like a Marauder. There's no doubt about that. It looks great. One of the things that I'm going to do, this will be, once this video is once I finish recording, this will all be glued together, and then I can give some thought to weight that's going to have to go into the nose of this. The only place where you can put weight is here. You can perhaps put it into the front of the engine nacelles inside this section here and drop some weight in there, but realistically that's kind of the only place that it can go. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a mix of tyre balancing weights, which are these, which you can buy online, or perhaps go down to your local tyre place and ask if they can sell you some. I bought these online. I think I got them from Amazon. They work really well because they've got a really sticky pad on the back, so that allows you to mount them against flat sections. So this here is 45 grams in total, and that would then drop against that back wall there, like, if I show you, like so. There we go. So it will drop against that, and then what I could do is I could work some fine lead shot, mix it with some epoxy, and then pour that in and around. By painting these black, hopefully they won't show too much through that window that's on the side of the fuselage here. There's not a lot I can do about that, really. I could perhaps put them against this bulkhead. So you've got two bulkheads, so I could perhaps fix two to this one, and then put some weight in and around. Even so, that's still quite close to the model's centre of gravity. On the Marauder, one of the odd things about it is that the main undercarriage legs, they cant forwards slightly, so they don't drop at 90 degrees. They are slightly forward of even their sort of centre point, which forces that centre of gravity even further forward. It really is a notorious tail sitter. So hopefully that will allow me to put enough weight in the nose. And then the only other issue that I'm going to have to deal with at some point is hoping that the nose gear leg is sufficiently sturdy to withstand all of the weight that I put in here. The ICM kit suggests 50 grams inside this model to balance theirs out. I'm assuming that it'll be somewhere similar for this one, so we'll just have to wait and see how that works, and see how it kind of goes. Really, there isn't really a lot you can do. If it sits on its tail, even with all that weight in, then I'm just going to have to make a rather unlovely tail prop and see how that goes. So there we go. That's it. That's how much work I've done on this. Hopefully by next week the model will be complete. I'm running rapidly out of time on this, so it needs to be done really quickly. It's got to be finished over the next few days. So I hope you've enjoyed this one again. Hope it's been useful, and that you're still enjoying seeing me put together this ancient old kit. And I will see you again next week. In the meantime, take care. Please, if you've liked this video, click a like or subscribe to my channel, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and bye for now.